Hey everybody, it's Dr. J in the Bay. So, I am trying something new for 2023. When I was elected to the village board last spring, one of my priorities was to engage and communicate. And somehow, writing things down and publishing on the blog has just been harder than I expected it would be, especially harder compared to just chatting with folks, whether it be at Sendix or at City Market when it was open. So, over the holidays, it hit me, why not just record my end of the conversation? And voila, here we go with a vlog. So, I'm very interested on your thoughts on this. So, please send me a message and let me know what works, what doesn't work for you. Um, but let's see how long this lasts. Um, that being said, one of my communications during my tenure on the village board is village communications and village engagement. And the village already does a lot of things on that front. Certainly, the e newsletter that you can subscribe to from the village website is a central means of that. But I've been working to see other means of communication evolve. For example, even though the village publishes agendas and minutes of all the committee meetings, a quick summary I feel like would be very helpful to those who don't have time to review all of those documents. The school board, incidentally, did something like that after a recent meeting, which I thought was superb. So I pitched this idea to our village manager, and it was so great that both he, Paul Benning, and the assistant manager, Tom Harrigan, were so enthusiastically supportive. So many thanks to them as we start piloting this with the e-newsletter in mid-February, a brief summary of all of the different committee meetings to give you more of a flavor of what's going on through your village government. Similarly, we as a board have been discussing our relationship with the publisher of Bay Leaves. As you know, Bay Leaves is the central publication that comes to each of the households in the village, but I don't think anyone would disagree that it could stand to be a bit more substantive on village happenings and articles of interest. More concerning to me, though, is that the publisher, Best Version Media, has had a history of censoring community groups' submissions for publication. I had requested at the December board meeting that we discuss our village's relationship with the magazine, and as a follow-up to that, we invited the publisher of Bay Leaves via Best Version Media to come to the board meeting in early February tonight. For those of you who didn't know, and this was certainly news to me before I joined the village board, the village essentially outsourced publication of the magazine to Best Version Media, an independent publisher, back in 2012. And actually, Best Version Media has grown to the point where it now produces over 1,200 publications throughout the U.S. and Canada. So we're, just one small part of its overall strategy, which is that of, frankly, in my opinion, an advertising agency with a business model that pretty much supports advertisements over content. Now, as a result, their content policy is really to be as minimally disruptive, if you will, as possible, and to that end, they have a fairly restrictive editorial policy. Part of the reason we invited them tonight was to find out whether or not we would have any leeway to either loosen the editorial policy they have or to expand the village's control over the content that is published. As it currently stands, the village is allocated 4 pages of material in every issue. Unfortunately, what we learned is that Best Version Media is unlikely to either alter their editorial policy or allow us more than 4 pages of content. So, I'm really interested in preserving Bay Leaves magazine for our community. I think it is a really important vehicle for us, but I do think we can and should do better. I think there are great models of what a great community publication could look like around the community. And in fact, I've had conversations with editors of different publications with municipalities throughout the state and in the Milwaukee area. And I think it would be potentially profitable and feasible for our village to turn Bay Leaves into a true village-based publication with expanded control over the content. The Village magazine should inspire, should educate, and should uplift with Bay Leaves. And currently, it seems like all the magazine does is bore and ignore. So, tonight's village board meeting also featured a resolution that was championed by Trustee Riza Colton to have Whitefish Bay join the Wisconsin League of Local Government Climate Coalition, the Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition. Membership in that coalition, which, by the way, was really enthusiastically supported by our village manager and unanimously approved by the village board, would allow our community to get assistance from other communities in the state who are trying to enact similar environmentally friendly and climate change conscious initiatives in their own communities. So it's sort of a peer-to-peer learning model, but also potentially a funding source for us in the future. I think it's a huge step in the right direction for our community as it relates to environmental consciousness. So very grateful to Trustee Colton and the rest of the village board and village staff for their support of this. Well, that's it for this inaugural version of the vlog from Dr. J in the Bay here. I'd love to hear from you. So please drop me a line and let me know if there was anything you've liked, anything you didn't like, and I'll talk to you again soon.